Welcome to Mahjong Central. My name is Michelle. I'm going to do some random pulls for Cantonese style using Hong Kong scoring. This is a really great style to learn if you're just getting into any Asian version. Most of the other Asian versions are all based on this, so it's really the best way to get started. And it's also great for kids. I think as long as you can count to 9 and memorize those cracks, you should be able to learn how to play this style. I've got all my tiles out and my wind of the round indicator. There are 4 rounds that you play where each player gets to be east. So there's the east round, and then south round, west, and north. So I'm going to do a random pull for each round. Anytime you get a 3 of a kind to the wind of the round, you can get a point for that. It's also called a han. A han and a point are kind of the same thing, scoring element. And then I am going to roll the dice to see which seat wind I'm in, because your seat wind also matters. If you get a 3 of a kind of your seat wind, you can get a han or a point for that too. So I rolled a 5, and 5 is east. If you count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seat 5 is east. It just goes round and round. So I am the dealer, and it is east round. And so I'm going to take 14 random tiles. As the dealer, you get 14 tiles because you start the game by discarding. So in this random pull, I will mimic my drawn hand by having 14 tiles. And this style, it's really easy because it's quite like Remy, where all you need is 4 sets in a pair. The sets can be either 3 in a sequence or 3 of a kind, and your score is based on whatever your combination is. All right, so we've got lots of bams. That's kind of nice because we could play a half flush. Okay, so see here, we've got a pair of 3s, a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have a green dragon, a south, and an east. So if we're seat 1, we're also east. If we can get another one of those, we could then pung it if someone discards it. We got to pair it up though first. So that would be really nice. And then we have a 1 crack, 7 dot, and a pair of 6 dots. So I would sacrifice these 6 dots because look at all these bams that I have. I could play a half flush. A half flush for this version. Let me get my scorecard out. Let's see here. Here's my player reference. There's a link below the video for this, and these are all the scoring elements here. So a half flush is 3 han, 3 fawn. Fawn and han, they're kind of the same thing. It's kind of interchangeable. So I could pung the 3s if it's discarded. Here's a 5, 6, 7. And an 8, 9, or I could do 7, 8, 9, and then get either a 4 bam or a 7 bam. So there's a little flexibility there. So I have 4 discards to get to a half flush. That would be a 3 fawn hand. And then if I get a pair of either of these, or both for that matter, I could pung those potentially, and those would each give me a fawn all by themselves as well. So that's a really nice start there for a half flush hand. So let's do this again. See what seat wind we're in this time. I rolled an 8. An 8 is north. So we're going to be at the north seat this time. And we are on south round. So this time south is the wind of the round, and we're in the north seat. Okay, here we go. So we only get 13 tiles this time because as non-dealer, you get 13. So there's our 13. And this time, ooh, we got a flower. This is a 3 flower. The flowers are bonus tiles. They're not played in your hand. So anytime you get a flower, you expose it right away and take a replacement tile. And if the flower is your seat, then you get a fawn for that. So if I'm 4, this is a 3, so I will not get a score for that. So I'll just put that out there, and then I'll get a replacement. All right, let's see here. All right, this is going to be a rough one because if we play a half flush, we have 6 discards. That's a lot of discards. It's nice if you can figure out what you want to play and have 4 discards. This is going to be a long game to play here. Even though we do have a pair of 6s here, I would hold the 9s for as long as possible, because if we drew in pairs, we could play all pung. All pung is all 3 of a kind. You see here we only have 2 though, so we would have to pair up, is what I call it, where you just draw in pairs so that you can then pung when people discard that 3rd tile. So I would probably try for a half flush, but potentially go for all pung if I paired up. And an all pung is 3 fawn and a half flush is 3 fawn. So I would be in between half flush or all pung. We'd have to wait and see if we paired up to see if we could do all pung. Anytime you mix your suits, you drive your score down. So I wouldn't want to do, for example, all chows, which is 3 in a sequence, in mixed suits. That would drive your score down by 3 fawn. So I don't ever advise that. Most times when you play, you have a point minimum. For a intermediate game, I would say maybe the point minimum is 2 fawn. For advanced, maybe 4 fawn. So if I were playing a half flush in a intermediate game, I would be okay with that, as with a all pung hand as well. If we'd say like the minimum point is 2 fawn. So that's what I would do with this one. If I were to do a half flush, I could even split the pair of 6s up and make this a chow, and then I could use this as a chow in here. So we would have to wait and see if we could draw in cracks and maybe more honors. Honors are winds and dragons. Okay, let's do this again. Let's see where we're seated this time. I threw 9. 9 is east, so I'm going to be at east seat, and we are on west round. Okay, here we go. So this time we get 14 tiles, so we'll get that extra tile to help us make a decision. So there's 14. All right, we got 2 flowers this time, and one of the flowers is a 1. If we're east, 1 is the seat wind, so we get a score for that. That's a 1 fawn score right there. So we'll get a fawn for that, which is nice. And then here we have a couple of honors, and we do have some cracks here. We need to get a couple replacements for those flowers, so I'm just going to grab 2 random tiles. We got an 8 crack and a 9 dot. All right, Now, so I'm seeing a half flush. We've got a 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9. We could split the 8s up and do 2 chows here, which would be nice. But the other thing I want to point out is we do have the beginnings of 13 orphans. 13 orphans is one of each of the 1s and 9s, one of each of the winds and dragons, and any tile paired. I would hold on to these 1s and 9s for a little while, and then if I drew a 1 crack, 9 bam, and more honors, I would try for 13 orphans. I love that hand. So I would start by throwing these 3, and then if I drew in cracks and honors, I would then get rid of those right there. So that's what I would do here. Probably half flush with cracks and honors. A half flush is 3 fawn, so this would be 3 fawn and then 4 with my flower. So that would be a 4 fawn hand. Okay, now we are on to the north round. And I rolled a 4, so we are north. So it is north round and we are in north seat. So we would get 2 fawn if we get a pung of norths. Okay, here we go. We only get 13 tiles this time because we are non-dealer. So there's our 13. And we've got a mixture, only 1 honor. So this is going to be tough to get some score here. We are in between cracks and bams. So you would have to pay attention to what your point minimum is at this table. If you don't have a point minimum, you could play a chicken hand, which is 0 points. If you mix suits and chows, which are 3 of a kind, okay, this would be a chow, 3 in a sequence, sorry about that. If you mix those, you're going to drive your score down by 3 fawn. So what I would do is I would throw the 6 dot, and then I would try to draw in bams and honors, get rid of the cracks slowly but surely, hold on to the 2 crack, because if I paired up in here, I could play all pung. All pung, which is all 3 of a kind, that's a 3 fawn hand, so that's a decent score. So I would throw the 6 away first. I would try for a half flush with bams and honors, hold the 2 crack. If I paired up, go for all pung, and then start throwing these away. But probably a half flush would be an easier way to go, even though we'd have 6 discards between the cracks and the dot. That's what I would do here. Let me know what you think about Cantonese style with Hong Kong scoring. Give it a try yourself if you haven't tried any Asian versions. It really is quite simple. There are links below this video to the lesson playlist. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, click subscribe. Between now and the next set of random pulls for Cantonese style with Hong Kong scoring, may all your picks be keepers.